That's me. I'm 7 feet tall. What? You don't believe me? Well, I knew this would happen, so I emailed Obama, President Obama, and I told him to make a 2-second clip where he tells you guys Dr. K is 7 feet tall. Apparently he's busy, so his people sent me this. Take a look. I'm not making this up. I am 7 feet tall. He's just too busy to let you know. So where am I coming from? Why am I 7 feet tall? Because that's how I feel every day. It's my thought. I think so. Therefore I am, right? Like you guys have thoughts about how good looking you are, right? How handsome you are, how intelligent you are, how happening you are. Or wait, maybe you have thoughts about how you're not enough, right? Sometimes you have the feeling you're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not popular enough. These are our thoughts, and I think we are the product of our thoughts. The kind of thoughts you have leads you to your future. You sitting here today are the product of your thoughts. And let me tell you a story. Long time ago, in the jungles of India, a baby was born. And the father came to see the mother and the baby, and the mom was crying. She was wailing her heart out. And the dad goes, "Whoa, what happened?" Everything seemed fine with the baby, but she was still crying. And finally, he looked at her and he tried to get her to calm down, and he asked her, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I gave birth to a girl. Again." And she cried a little bit more. So that woman in that jungle was my mother. And that second baby that she had was me. And this is a true story. It took her a day and a half to pick me up and accept me. And that's when she had a thought. She thought, this is what's going on, you know. She was very young. She barely managed to finish 7th grade, and she had to drop out of school to help support her mother, who was a widow. So she worked in a factory at age 14. And she thought that her life would never get any better. She met my dad, and she was a housewife, and she just assumed that the best thing that could happen to her was giving birth to a male child. And that didn't happen. So she had a thought. Her thought was this: I am going to make sons out of my daughters. So she decided to educate the heck out of us. And you all know this for now. You know this, that I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree and a Ph.D. So thank you, Mom. She got her wish fulfilled. Now, it wasn't easy for her because I hated school. I hated school more than you guys hate school. I tried running away, and I was caught, and I was brought back. And my dear sister is here somewhere, she knows. And they would put me in my sister's class because it was hard for them to control me. I would get out of control quite often, and they would have to bring me to my sister's class. So imagine, as I was growing, over the years, I hated homework. All I did was play. I did things that were not quite legal. I would take fireworks and set things off underground. I would ride motorbikes illegally, till I got to age 15, and I suffered the greatest shock of my life. So I was the school prefect, I was the house prefect, I was the class monitor, I did debate, I did sports, dancing, name it, except my homework, of course. So my teacher called me up to the front of the class. I was 15. And I had a strut about me. I was like, oh, I must have done something really important. And I came up to the front of the class just like this. Then she called 5 more students to the front of the class. There's 6 of us standing in front. And then she goes, "These were my gems, and they disappointed me." And I'm not sure what she's talking about. You see, we've just taken an exam called the preliminary exams, just like you take your PSATs and then you take your SATs, right? So this was a prelim, and she gave me my score. Guess what I got? I got a 65%. I know it looks like a 0, but it's a D, trust me. For those of you who have me in my class, it's a D. I got a 65%, and my life was over. I went back to my seat, numb. I sat down, and I didn't know what, I wasn't aware of my world at that point. I was completely numb. I went home. My sister saw me, and I just burst into tears. I said, my life is over. You see, you had to do really well in this exam to be considered in a good college, and there were hundreds of students wanting to, for a single seat in a good college. And here I was with a D. My life is over. Nothing's going to happen now. My sister, my dear sister, she pulls out a piece of paper, and she starts writing the subjects I have to study. She wrote down all subjects. Then she carefully cut them into small pieces. She folded them, and she put them into a jar. And I'm still crying, right? I'm like, my life is over, nothing's going to happen. So she pulls one out, and she goes, what is it? She makes me pull it out, actually. She goes, what is it? I go, English. She said, why don't you spend 10 minutes on it? I said, okay. So I studied 10 minutes English, and then I kept doing this the whole afternoon. And suddenly, that fail, that big mountain that you saw before this, it wasn't that big. It was cut into small 10-minute portions. And I'm like, man, maybe there's hope. 1 month later, I had to take this exam, right? I said, maybe there's hope. Maybe if I plan my day, maybe if I write down everything I want to study, how I want to study, maybe in this 1 month, I can do better. And better back home would be you either get a numeral 1, Roman numeral 1, that's a first-class pass, or 2, or 3. I'm like, maybe I can get one of those numerals, right? So I studied, I worked hard, and I made my to-do list, and I was just zoned in 14, 16 hours a day. I didn't see the light of the day. I just kept studying. Exams came, I took it, did what I had to do. Summer rolled around, back to playing, till one day my mom goes, oh, it's in the newspaper, results are in. And my heart's like, oh. I go to school, and I look up, hundreds of names, right? Cook, K-O-O-O-O, yeah, there I am. And what am I looking for? A Roman numeral 1, or 2, or 3. Not looking for a what? A letter. The letter would be a F. And I was like, oh, looked across my name, there was a letter. And I was like, no. And the letter was a D. And I was like, no. I went from a D to a D. My life is over. And then I was not so sure about this D. So I walked around asking people, hey, what does a D mean? What does a D mean? And they were all busy, all stressing out about their own grade, till I found this one soul who said, congratulations. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, D is distinction. You did better than an A. And yes, it was true. I stood in the first top 10 in my school for the exams that year. So thank you. You shouldn't be clapping for me. I had a D a month ago, but okay. So yeah, I mean, the point I'm trying to say here is this, that I know you guys have all sorts of difficulties in your life, and most of them have to do with grades, I know, because I'm your teacher. But you see, if you break it down to smaller bits and pieces, and break it down to a few hours, few minutes, what can I do right now, it doesn't feel so bad. And before you know it, you've climbed the mountain. And that's what I meant when I say I'm 7 feet tall. That's how I feel. I can climb any mountain I want. And so can you, trust me. All right, so my life went on. I had many mountains ahead. My next project in life was to get a Ph.D. Now, here's how I'm thinking. Imagine you're 16, 17. How old are you, Rowan? 17. Let's say you want a Ferrari when you're 25. Is that a possible dream, young man? Yeah, he says yes. $250,000, 6, 7 years from now. Why not? That was me. I was working as a chemist. I made 1,500 rupees a month, which, by the way, is that much. And my dream was to own a Ferrari, not really, to get a Ph.D. in the United States of America, which is around $300,000. How does one do this? I don't know, but I wanted to do it. So I realized I didn't make enough money to even apply, so I got another job. I started tutoring kids late into the night till 11, 12, and I made enough money. It took me 2 years to apply to 10 colleges in the United States and take my GRE and TOEFL and all that fun stuff. I applied to 10 colleges, and I got into 3. Of course, 7 were rejects. And then I picked the one that paid me the most. They paid for my full tuition, and they also paid me stipend. And before you know it, I was ready to go to the United States and get my Ph.D. But something else stopped me. Do you know how much it cost to fly from India to here? A lot of money. I didn't have it. So, what's that? 1,000, easy 1,000, 1,500 more like it. I didn't have the money. So I had to go back to my parents, and I said, hey, guys, can you give me a loan? Which they did, sweet enough. And I got that money. I flew over, and I started my program. So I got my distinction. Remember the D? I got my money, second mountain. Now here I am in the United States doing my Ph.D., feeling really good about myself. 1.5 years into the program, my advisor tells me, I'm sorry, you're not good enough. Listen to me carefully. You're not good enough. This is what his opinion was, his thought. He said, I would like to offer you a seat to another student from IIT. And I was like, oh. I said, no, you're not giving my seat away. I'm going to finish my Ph.D., and I don't care what you think. I think I'm good enough. So out comes my plan. I made a plan again. I said, I can do this. How long does it take to get a PhD in my group? 5 years. How long did I take? 4 years. That was my plan, to finish my PhD in 4 years. And then I broke it down, of course. Of course, every day was not perfect. Of course, I failed. I remember one time I failed miserably. I did 3 months' worth of work, boom, down the drain. I sulked for 2 days. Went back, did it again. Keep applying yourself. Take baby steps. Do not listen to what other people think of you. Listen to yourself. Like the previous speaker said, listen to your gut. It works, people, every time. If you listen to yourself, things happen. All right, down to 3. So you see, these mountains that I've been climbing was not easy. It started when I was as young as you guys, and I made it happen. What I'm trying to tell you here today is that you can do this too. You can have your thoughts. You can make your decisions and then convert those decisions to actual things happening. That's what I believe. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from. So that's you. Aren't you cute? You are going to have your thought, you're going to make a decision, and you're going to put it together. So for the last 5 years, I've actually been practicing this called time management business with a lot of Harker kids. They've come to me when they're in despair, and they go, okay, I can't imagine how will I finish this whole project, or how will I get this C turned into an A? So I work with them one-on-one. And I've seen it happen to all you guys, many of your friends, who have come through this whole time management program, including my daughter who's sitting right here. At age 6, she started having tantrum because I wouldn't let her watch enough TV. And she wouldn't do her homework. She didn't care to do her homework. TV was more fun, and mommy was not spending enough time with me. Sat her down, asked her to write her goals. She put it down on paper and said, okay, you want to watch a TV show? What can you give me for that? And we started making these deals, and suddenly it wasn't stressful for her. Suddenly she was making plans that meant that she was important. She and I have dates together on Sunday, most Sundays. So everything she wanted, she was getting for herself. And everything that I wanted her to do was getting done. And there was no conflict. Life was good, right? All right. So my suggestion to you is that if you want to, you can climb mountains, you can manage your time, you can take on the world and be how tall? 7 feet. 7 feet, like me. Thank you so much. Thank you.